A little closer? Okay, how's that? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. And, you know, there's numerous people along the way that you have to thank. I just happen to be kind of the guy on the wild stallion that just held on tight and it's been a great ride. But certainly my wife, 47 years, Andrea, who's sitting back there, has been a key element, especially me being in Sac City College. When we were playing in the state tournament in 1973, and a good friend of mine, John Nochi, who was the coach at College of San Mateo, I was the assistant at LA Valley College, community college in Southern California. And I wanted to be a head coach, of course, and I said, well, are there any community college jobs in the North? I said, well, I heard Sacramento City College, there might be an opening there. Okay, who's the athletic director? Well, Dick Perucci. And where's Dick? Dick, are you still awake? And I think he nods off, elbow him. Rena's scary. I was always afraid of Rena in Sacramento City. I was afraid she was going to yell at me, which she did numerous times. But Dick said, well, yeah, come on up. And I sent him a handwritten letter, and he got back to me and called me and he said, you have to come up. I said, okay. He says, you have to pay your own way, and here's some good places to stay, and you can rent a car. And okay, and so brought my wife with me, and it was interesting because I went for the interview, and then we parked right out in front of Sac City, and she walked through the neighborhood and Land Park. Well, when I got done with the interview, she says, if they offer you that job, you take it. And I did the interview with, there was no president at Sacramento City College at the time. It was just Dick and the dean of instruction, a guy named Charles Nadler. And at the end of the interview, Charles, you know, I paid my way up, I was cordial, he was nice. He says, don't call us, we'll call you. And fortunately they did call me. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. And you know, my 23 and a half years up here were phenomenal. One of my greatest experiences was meeting Dan Mirsky. Now, if you don't know Dan Mirsky, you should know Dan Mirsky because he's immediately your best friend. We've been best friends for over 40 years, and he was a tremendous supporter for us, and still is. His daughter is working in San Luis Obispo. I see him frequently, and it's been just wonderful. At the time I came up here, my wife stayed in Southern California. We were living in West LA, and I came up to recruit, and I was living at a place called the Camellia City Lodge. It wasn't the best hotel in town, let's just put it that way. But you know, I'd go out every day and recruit, and Ronnie set me up with a guy named Jerry Twilling, who was head of the American Legion at the time, and Ronnie King. And Ronnie King, I'm sure he's a graduate of Christian Brothers, right? And great baseball guy. And those two guys really pointed me in the right direction as far as getting players. And one of the things, when I came up here, Dick said, well, you're going to have to coach football. I said, no problem. I played football, and I coached football in high school, and I coached a little bit at LA Valley College. And so I coached football, and then every Wednesday night we go down to Lodi with the baseball team when we play, and then we play every Sunday after or before our meetings. And so I was going pretty hard 7 days a week, and it was one of those years, and I think that there's not as much tulip bug up here right now as there used to be. But that was a year that, starting from September 1st until the end of December, it had rained a couple times a week, so it was foggy and 40. And boy, for a Southern California beach guy, that wasn't the right environment for me. And plus I had to coach football and coach baseball. And he says, well, you know, you just coach, he says, you start in February and then you're done in June. Well, that's not the right coach baseball. You know, baseball is a full-time deal for me, and we were going at it pretty hard, coaching both football and baseball just about every day. I had my baseball class in the morning, then I go out in the afternoon, coach football, then we play at night, we play on the weekends. One year when Bonnie and Kevin and Tom Gallagher, these guys know, we'd play split doubleheaders every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we had two teams that were playing basically 12 games, and we did that right up until Christmas. And so we were, you know, every day was pretty much Labor Day for us. But the environment was right here because this was a tremendous baseball town. Unbelievable. Tremendous athletes, great coaching, Bernie Church, Mike Inchowski, guys like that who did tremendous job. There were all kinds of athletes. Plus, it was an untapped area as far as professional players signing professional scouts signing high school players, and then four-year schools and universities recruiting this area. And as a matter of fact, eventually we recruited over a lot of the four-year schools. They'd rather come to Sacramento City because they could play 200 games in a year and still be eligible for the draft. I think Monty's still tired. We had January draft at that time, and I think, how many times were you drafted? 4 or 5 times at City? 5 times, probably 5 first-round picks because of the draft opportunities for the community college. And so the environment was just right, and so we were getting tremendous players. And you know, one of the reasons we got tremendous players because we had tremendous coaches. And there's a number of guys in this room that helped me coaching. Christian Brothers guys. Steve Barsani played for me and coached for me. Todd Barsani played for me and coached for me. Dr. Randy Brown helped us immeasurably. Paul Carmazzi was my, and I had a staff, my last 15 years, we had the same staff for 15 years. Nobody left. We brought a few guys on, they helped out, but nobody left. And we had such a perfect environment as far as coaching is concerned. Good kids, great administrative support. Perucci, you couldn't work for a better athletic director. He was in the trenches with you, he bled with you, he sweat with you, he stacked the hay in the barn with you. You couldn't have a better guy to work for, and I feel very fortunate to have that situation. But we had unbelievable players. I'll never forget the first state championship we played, and FD was on that team. He was our shortstop, and that was the year we built the stadium. And we spent more time working on the stadium than we did working at our baseball, and somehow I started looking at the ring and saying, well, maybe this coaching thing is not that important. I thought it was pretty good. So we lose the first game of the state tournament. We won the first game. We lost the second game to Santa Ana. And they had like 3 or 4 big league players, Bob Hamlin, and anyway, they just annihilated us. And so we ended up fighting back from the losers bracket, and we showed up to the ballpark the next day, and I think we slept in our uniforms. We got done like at 11:30 the night before. Had to play like a 10 or 11 o'clock game. And we got 30 uniforms. We had a couple peanut butter sandwiches, and we showed up to the ballpark. We didn't take BP, we didn't take infield. We show up, and their coaches are taking BP. Instead of their team, they're taking BP because we got to beat them a doubleheader, and there's no chance these Scrabinis are going to beat them. So after we got the group together, he said, these guys will not beat us. We kicked their butt 2 games and won a state championship. It was one of the greatest things of all time. But we had quality people. And you talk about those jackasses and thoroughbreds. We had thoroughbred people. We had unbelievable people. I just feel so lucky to have been associated with the players and the coaches. I'll tell you one thing. In 1983, I took a leave of absence. It was a unique situation. A good friend of mine, Skip Bertman, who was a coach at LSU, Jeff Bearden played for him, left University of Miami, and he called me because he was looking for some players. And so I said, well, I got this guy, okay. And I hung up the phone, and I said, well, I wonder who's going to take his place. And so I called back and I said, Skip, who's taking your place? He says, you want the job? I said, maybe. He says, Ron, Jerry Weinstein's on the phone. He says, and the coach at that time was a guy named Ron Frazier, probably the dean of all college coaches. As a matter of fact, FP played for him, Bonnie played for him. Just a great guy. So he says, well, come down tomorrow. He says, we'll fly you down tomorrow and we'll talk. And so I got off the plane and met him, went out to dinner, we talked, we hit it off unbelievably. And so the next he says, okay, he says, can you stay till Saturday? We're going to have a press conference. And Miami was big time. I mean, they were drawing 5,000 people a game, and we had a $600,000 budget that was covered totally by gate receipts and money that Frazier raised. It was big time. It was like a Major League Baseball operation. And my wife was working at Sutter Memorial and family here, and so we kind of made an agreement that if I'll take a leave of absence, we'll go for the year, and if it didn't work out, we'd come back. Well, we had a bad team. We had a really bad team. And at the end of the year, year, it doesn't look like, not only they've gone to 28 straight regionals, it doesn't look like we're going to go to a regional. But long story short, we got hot at the end of the year, got to a regional, we were the last team, went to Tallahassee, played up there, beat Florida State in Florida, get to the College World Series and finished fourth. I was so relieved to go in his office and tell him, hey, I got to leave. You're going to be the next coach. I got to leave. My wife, this is a family decision, so I came back to Sac City College. But the one thing that did for me, it raised the bar for me in terms of what my vision was, what community college, especially in this community, which was an unbelievably supportive baseball community, as most of you in this room know. We really raised the bar and said, we've got to build a facility. And Dick was totally supportive, even though he was in the minority as far as the administrative support for our little effort there. But somehow, with the help of community people like Steve Strong and Bill Meehan and Mickey Mindstead, the labor unions came aboard and they said, hey, you get the materials and we'll build it. And they used it as an apprentice program. And that stadium that you see over there was built with $80,000 of fundraised money, and the rest was community donations and labor union people. And what Bill Meehan told me, and he says there's never in the history of construction in the city of Sacramento have so many projects been overbid. And the topper was Greg Lucaville. And I hate to belabor this whole thing, but I got to talk about these people. We needed structural steel for the facility. It's the last piece of the puzzle. And so I was in my office at 7:30 one night. Hell, I'll call Lucaville. And so I just called him, and he answered the phone. He says, just Jerry Weinstein. And he says, oh yeah. He says, we're trying to build. Yeah, I know about it. He says, do you have the plans? I said, yeah, I got the plans. Do you have the what you need, the materials? I said, yeah, I got it. So he says, meet me at 7:30 tomorrow morning in my office. So I go over there, I got the blueprints and plans, and he says, just a second. So he calls a guy named Jim DeBlasio out in West Sac. There was a structural steel company out there. He says, Jim, he says, you know our Arco project? He says, we're going to add some structural steel on this. We're going to help Sacramento. We're going to help Sacramento City College out here build their facility. And I told him it's going to cost $36,000. And so, no problem. And so they provided all the structural steel. And at the end of the whole project, we had kind of a little get-together, and Lucaville was there, and he's a great guy. He didn't want me to say anything. He wanted to thank Greg Lucaville. We had people up on the dais, and he's up in the stands in the stadium. And we had a party afterwards, and I'm talking to him. He says, you know that $36,000 structural steel bill? He says, how about $250,000? How does that grab me? And so, most people don't know that about him, but unbelievable. But the thing, I can tell you that it's the people. It's my wife. It's these players. It's these guys that, I'm just so proud to have been in Sacramento, worked with these guys, and see, the year that we had Kwame and Brownie, and I think Tom might have been on that team, we had 15 guys drafted in professional baseball. We had 37 big league players. Come on, that isn't about coaching, it's about the people. Now, we were lucky to recruit good people. We were in a community like this that opportunity presented itself. But I just, it's one of those little areas where you just consider yourself the luckiest man